Okay, folks, it's that time again. It's the weekly property update. What's happened last week in the property market right across the Fife region with every single estate agent. So let's take a look at the numbers and see where we are just now. So you can see in the Cooper area, we're 9 instructed, 10 actually sold. Demand still outstripping supply. East Neuk, no surprise. Again, 2 only instructed, 5 under offer and sold. St Andrews 16 versus 4. Well, they've reversed the trend. However, St Andrews, we're getting excellent results with what we're doing. We put a property on last week and we've got 40 viewings almost for this property, and it's going to a closing date, and we've got people lined up and it's going crazy. We've had to bus additional people in just to accommodate for the time frame that we're going to have to get the viewings in to keep the social distance measures in place. Leavenmouth as well, 14 come onto the market and 17 under offer. Again, that's no surprise. Leavenmouth, a really buoyant market just now. There's a lot of demand there. Dunfermline 34 versus 41. Again, the similar situation. Glenorthus 18 versus 15, taking a wee dip this week, but not a trend. Kirkcaldy 35 versus 42. Again, that's going the right direction. But overall, 128 properties listed in the week itself, and 134 actually sold. So again, it's demonstrating that demand is clearly outstripping supply in the housing market. Now is possibly the time to sell if you are considering. I would say that, because we've got predictability here. Let's look at the budgets and what they had thought in terms of the budget itself. Well, I was quite disappointed at the Scottish Government actually saying they were going to end stamp duty, what we know it is LBTT, Land and Buildings Tax, at the March end here. And it's just going to basically fall off a cliff, and everybody it's not concluded by then is going to just lose out on the additional savings that they would make on the stamp duty, or what we call it. There should have been a phased end to this, possibly, that, in my opinion, or they should have committed and said everybody that's got concluded missives before the end of March can actually have time to complete their property transaction after the end. I think it's completely irresponsible, of the Scottish Government to do that. They're putting everybody under pressure. They're putting the solicitors especially under pressure to conclude missives and get everything through before the 31st of March. But that's just my opinion. I'd be interested to know yours, especially if England went a different direction. They actually give an extension and they give some sort of tapered relief towards that as well. So budget initial thoughts on this. We've done a wee show during the week with myself and Kessa. The corporation tax increasing to 25% for in 2023 for limited companies. Now, if you're a small landlord in a limited company, you will probably not be hit by that. You'll still be in the small tax range of 19%. The unemployment level, they're not predicting it anymore to be the 11% they thought it would be. I didn't think so either. It's going to come in round about just over 6%. Again, that's intolerance. That's the higher level of full employment, what they class it as, between 4 and 6%. So, that's going to be quite good news. Furlough's been extended, obviously, till the end of September, 80%. And they're asking employers to contribute between 10 and 20% over the July and August and September period. A further 600,000 self-employed people will be eligible for help for grants for widening. Universal credit, similar ways in there. Also, the amount borrowed comparable. Well, borrowing is not going to be predicted to be what it was. So it's good news all round for the property market itself. 95% mortgages are coming in. They're going to be guaranteed and backed by the government. So that's a really good call as well. That's going to help the lifeblood of the market for the first-time buyers, especially. They really can't. It's a catch-22 here. You save up for a deposit, but you've got to pay rent. So how are you going to do that? It's not possible. So 95% mortgage definitely welcome to come back. There's a lot of lenders got on board with that. We spoke about it during the week with myself and Kessa, who's a mortgage broker. So it's all good news. First Home Fund will be coming in as well. First Home Fund's coming back, which is £25,000 for every first-time buyer in Scotland, up to 25,000 towards their first purchase of their house. That should be coming back from the 1st of April onwards. With no more news on that. If you want more information on what the First Home Fund is for a first-time buyer, if you go to our YouTube channel at Fife Properties on YouTube, you will find that First Home Fund if you type that in the search. And it's a 10-minute interview with Neil Bird from Cara Mortgages about what the first home fund for a first-time buyer is all about and what eligibility it gives them. Okay, so let's talk about some other things. The other things I'd actually looked to talk about was I've put on the blog and vlog we did this weekend in the podcast, and it was the selling tips in 2021 for Fife homeowners, how to prepare and present your home, basically. The top tips to get best value and best money for your property. After all, at the end of the day, I'll be honest and say it's not about the cheapest fee to a degree. You should be focusing on who's going to get the better result at the end. Because if you've got a property at £100,000 and you go for a 1% estate agent, and then you go for a 2% estate agent and gets you £102,000, you'll actually have more money in your pocket with the 2% estate agent than the 1. And I know in the broad brush of it seems, 1 and 2, but the reality is often another agent at a higher fee can get a better result. But that's all down to asking them what their results are like. We have an instant valuation tool on here, by the way, on this post. You can have a wee click on that and it gives you an instant valuation of your property, gives you the midpoint, the top point and the lower point as well. So back to this top selling tips. Some of the things that we're covering, you can watch the show anyway, you can read the vlog and you can actually read the blog and you can actually listen to the podcast. But it's all about, curb appeal is key here. Some of the things about, just adding a wee bit of flowers around the house as well. New brooms, we talked about that as well. Just dusting all these places, the plants and stuff, get them all dusted off, cut all these wee bits off your spider plants, which are all old and decrepit. Just get rid of them all and make it all nice and fresh in your house. Fruity freshness as well, get rid of all that moldy fruit and stuff like that in your bowl, in your fruit bowl. Give it a bit of flavour and give it a bit of colour as well. It just gives all these first impression to someone, the right impression. If you've got a dark room, because that seems to be the in thing just now, maybe paint one of the walls in a brighter colour just to bring up the brightness of the room. Use things like mirrors as well, to reflect light in the room. What's really in just now is a wall standing mirror, just leant against a door or something like that. To give it some brightness into the room. Make sure you've got clean windows, clean doors, doorsteps. Start doing the weeding again outside. Make sure all the driveway's all clean and clear. And fabric condition, if you've got long, heavy duty curtains, make sure you wash them as well. Some of them have got all dust all over them. And again, it's all down to that first impression. But again, plan for the worst. After all, it's British weather. Even though it's sunny, it could be the next day, could be raining and it could be muddy. So make sure you've got everything in place for viewers if they come round and they can put something at the door, and then maybe even foot covers. Because the one thing for me, it seems to be quite difficult, is when somebody walks in, they just feel completely uncomfortable if they don't have foot covers, especially if they've been outside in the mud or the dirt and you don't have a mat either to wipe their feet. So make sure you've got a wee stock of foot covers. Make sure your estate agent actually gives them to you for your viewings as well, because it's something that we do. So these are all the wee things and wee tips and techniques and hints I can tell you about in order to get that best value, but make buyers feel welcome into your property. Again, make sure masks, gloves, stuff like that, hand sanitizer. Nobody touches door handles when they come round to view. They keep their hands in their pockets more or less, and you open all the doors for them if you're going to be doing the viewing yourself. Ultimately, we do the viewing. That's what we do as well. Okay, next week's show, we've got the Fife Property show next week for our landlords. It's going to be all about how to increase your yield and how to get the best value for your investments and the best return for your investments as well. And that's going to be the Fife Property show. It's on Saturday morning at 9:30. There's a pre-programmed posts in here and all these vlogs and on these Facebook pages. It's in there. If you want to click on that and set a reminder for yourself to remind you when we go live, we will be going live. I'll probably be sharing some of my secrets again. At the end of the day, 30 years in property investment and as a landlord and retiring at 38, I might know a thing or two about investing in property. So more than likely, you've got an opportunity there to ask me any questions next Saturday, about property investment, how to get started, how to get the best returns, what markets you should be looking for, how to get the best yields out of property. And I'll be talking about that in my journey anyway. I've just bought another one and I've got another 2 to buy, and I'll probably do live vlogs about these and about how I got these returns as well. Anyway, until next week, guys, I'm Jim Parker for Fife.